Hello everyone and welcome back to TNGTC. We're back for our second race of the night, the sprint race from Spa-Francorchamps, round 10 of the season as we see Frank pull out of the pits. Feature race, promised a lot but didn't deliver much. Some early action and crashes, followed by Dean running away with the race, and then Gaz coming home in second, relatively unchallenged, with Benji, who had to fight with Ben early on, taking P3. Now we watch the four cars go round and round to try and fight it out for the second pole of the day. And again, joining me to commentate on what is hopefully a chaotic race is Jordan.
Yeah, good evening guys. Obviously, sprint race time. Reverse grid and at the back for the top 5. So, you'd have to think chaos is going to happen.
Yeah, that's certainly what we hope for. Spa, I'm quite surprised the feature race was dull. Spa is usually the main track to throw up some chaotic races, usually with all the slipstreaming and stuff, so hopefully with the fast and having to fight through it, we'll get the chaos we were expecting.
I think the biggest thing here with Spa is the setup. If you get the setup right, to have a compromise between both the speed and the corners, you're gonna be very quick.
Yeah, of course they'll probably have to have made brand new setups from last season. I remember season 6, I set my M6 up here, was amazing. Went to season 7, it did not work just because the game had been updated so much, so I'm sure they're all on fresh setups from scratch, so no easy work for the drivers.
So 10 minutes of qualifying, only 4 cars allowed to qualify now. Who's your money on to put it on pole then, Liam?
I would probably say either of the Robs. I'd say Rob Knockers is, I think, he qualified higher out of the two in the feature, so I'm gonna have to say Rob Notches.
Yeah, I think Rob will have a slight edge over Robert. But Robert has surprised us in the past.
Yeah, of course he qualified in the second row in the season opener in Watkins Glen, and he's had the pace this season, but he just, either through his own mistakes or getting caught up in incidents, he just hasn't been able to put the results together, so hopefully either this race or the next round that changes.
I think his best chance was Sugo. He really quick at Sugo, wasn't
he? Yeah. But he seems to be working with that Mercedes well, and they're getting the help of Dean, who of course has won a couple of races this season, so he's not short of potential.
So, as we start the first lot of flying laps, now they're probably only going to get to maybe 3 if they push it flying laps, but a point up for grabs.
Yep, points for everyone, and every little point could make the difference. Last season's team's championship was won by 3 points, so just shows.
It is also quite interesting now for the sprint because Benji's a bit of a slide that for Robert into the corner with no name. Benji's lost his teammate for this race.
Yeah, whatever happened to Adam that forced him out of the feature race, he's decided he doesn't want to do the second event of the day, so hopefully we'll see him at the next round. A big slide from Rob into Liège, so both the cars are actually there struggling.
Into Pouon. Back end trying to kick through the chicane of Lafania. Up to Stavelot, where everyone seems to be running slightly wide.
It's always been notorious for track limits, whether it's Stavelot or Blanchimont or Rabion. Always catch people out.
So Frank opens up the books with a 224.5. Doko comfortably beats that with a 219.4. And what can Rob Knox just do? A 218.3. So a good lap there from the Rev Rascals man. Robert is back out on track. Through a Rouge and Radion.
Maybe it looks like all the drivers are just going to go round for all 10 minutes because no one flopped.
Well, Robert was the only one that went back to the pits.
I'm guessing that's due to a mistake on his lap.
But I think Robert is coming up to the bus stop to start his lap. And he's only going to get 2 runs at this. Here's Robert.
Yeah, well, everyone else is going to get 3, and this Robbie's running about 3 tenths up in his current lap, so good end of the lap, and it could creep into the 17s.
Yeah, Robert with the 229, which I suspect is just a bit of a warm-up.
Yeah, I'm guessing the game's counted his out lap, which sometimes happens.
Frank Finch, a lot of time to be made for Frank.
He's found 2 seconds of it so far. Frank did get into the 221s in the feature race, so that's surely going to be his target, at least a mid-21.
Into the bus stop chicane we come. With the Audi driver, the Wooden Spoon Racing man. Now, as far as we're aware, he has got a teammate to almost replace seats until he comes back. He sets a 222.1. Doko will come through. Doesn't go quicker. Rob sets a 217.9.
Just in the 217s like I thought he could, so we'll see what this Robert has in response, but he'll need a good lap to get that. I think he'd stick it on the front row with Rob.
See that Audi down on power compared to the Mercedes.
Rob and Frank are happy with what they've done. It's just Doko and Robert running around at this point.
Now Robert can have another lap if he wants it after this. You'd have to think he's going to at least start the next lap, unless he's taken pole position away from Rob, sorry.
Yeah, he's fueled for another lap. It looked like everyone was fueled for 3, but Rob and Frank are happy with what they've done.
Through the bus stop. Gets on the power. I think that's a bit too tight in my opinion. Into the second part of the bus stop. He says a 218.6, but I think there's definitely time to come out of that.
Going tight into that left of the bus stop can come back to bite you if you do it too much, as that sausage head can completely throw the car up onto 2 wheels, as I've had happen to me before.
Through Rouge and Radion. So
59, so maybe he's running very high downforce.
Ben Milden saying that Robert is fastest through the middle sector, so
that would back up my theory of he's running high downforce.
I thing is, if he's going to do it like a Red Bull, he's got to be substantially quick through this second sector. He can't just be quicker, he's got to be massively quicker. Comes through Lefania in up towards Stavelot.
They take over a 10th up.
Interesting insight from the garage. Ben saying he's losing half a second through sector 1 and 0.3 of a second through the last sector.
Quite surprising since we saw Dean was probably the fastest on the straights. So they might be running a very different downforce.
Ben also saying that another purple middle sector for Robert, so has he made up enough time on this lap to take pole position? No, he does go quicker though by a little bit. So Rob takes pole position in his Mercedes, followed by Robert. Then Doko, Frank Finch takes 4th. And obviously 5th to 9th is the top 5 in reverse. And obviously it's a bit of an unfortunate thing that Benji has to host because he starts right at the back.
Yeah, I'm sure sometimes it'll severely harm him, sometimes it's probably a blessing in disguise.
So there you go, Rob.
Look at the difference between their first and middle sectors.
Yeah, half a second through sector 1, as Ben Milden said. But only 0.6 in sector 2. And it's not even that, but it's just under 0.6, which is not enough through that middle sector.
Yeah, so he loses a second between sector 1 and 2, and then about another half second he gains in the middle, so Rob got the overall better car at the moment.
So as we wait for them to get ready and sink in, that's the view the pole sitter has towards La Source. And that's the view from the back. That is a bit of a daunting view, isn't it? Having to go from the back of the race.
Yeah, it's not the greatest prospect, but whenever you come from the back to get on the podium or even win, it's a great feeling. You know you've achieved something very, very good.
See, it's interesting in qualifying. What's it like being that top 5, not being able to just go out and drive and qualify? How does that actually feel when everyone else is out qualifying?
Generally, you just be like, I'll sit back, try and enjoy it, and then sometimes the grip levels change from feature to sprint, so if you've got someone in the party who's qualifying, you'll ask them, or you'll try and watch, work out, so when you go round flying on lap 1, do I have more grip, do I have less grip? So even when they're sat in the garage doing nothing, they're still trying to work stuff out for the race.
You really are using up the whole 2 minutes, aren't they? For the start of this.
Let's hope whoever it was that forgot to ready up, I think it was Doko, does it this time. He does.
I think it was Robert.
Oh yeah, Robert. I knew it was one of them.
So 3 red lights here at Spa. We are green again, and that is a poor start from Rob. Robert instantly into the lead. Doko now looking around the outside of La Source on Rob. Through La Source they all come, and what a start from Ben Milden up into 4th place. Fantastic from the Mercedes driver. Dean's got a horrible start as well. He's down in 9th and way off the pack. Does he come down the Kemmel for the first time? And that will look easy pickings for Rob. Oh my word, that's an interesting move from Ben, and that is collision with Robert. Doko gets involved.
And how was he not collected there?
No, and that's Frank Finch gone round as well.
Now the biggest winner's Gaz.
Yeah, Gaz now up into third, and Benji in fourth. Now we know Benji started to close Gaz down in the sprint, in the feature, sorry. So that could be an interesting battle to look out for. Dean up from 9th to 6th, so that's helped him a lot. But a little bit of outbreaking himself there, Ben.
Yeah, outbreaking himself. Rob was on the inside of the other Rob, trying to make a fake move, and Ben had nowhere to go, so he's plowed into the side of him. I'm sure he'll hold his hands up on that one.
A very poor start as well from Dean. He got off the line and was right at the back of the pack for a bit until that collision happened.
Yeah, maybe he was just taking it safe. You sometimes see it, people let everyone go. They have the crash and they drive through. He was so lucky not to collect Ben as Ben decided that was the right time to flex Ben.
And obviously,
maybe like Frank has... Oh,
that is big damage for Frank.
I was going to say, Frank's going very slowly. I thought he'd just spun, but clear, maybe he's collected Ben. I don't think so. Ben's still going quite quick, but yeah, that is destroyed.
I wonder if Frank actually got tagged by like Doko from the collision into the wall. Maybe Frank just carried on at normal pace, not realising he had maybe suspension damage, which has fired him into a wall again.
That's very possible, but I think that is possibly the most destroyed car I've ever seen.
So we go through a Rouge. And ready on. Robert has a lot of pressure now from behind. Down. Oh, and Gaz just about enough room there to sneak in front of Benji. They come into Lecombe. Around the outside, that's an impressive move from Gaz in the BMW, but the Audi of Robert trying to come back around the outside of the right-hander, not quite doing it, as the cameraman does a fantastic job. And that's Dean Round. That is at Lecombe. Easy to do.
Ben's past Doko somewhere as well.
And Frank is literally only just got into the pit lane. That is race ruined, but points still on the board if he just comes in and finishes.
Yeah, he's probably going to get lapped. Or he's definitely going to get lapped with the amount of damage he only fixed.
I'm expecting him to almost be double lapped, because that could take a couple of minutes.
He might not be far off. Benji flashing. He really won't pass Rob.
Up through Stavelot we come. Problem is for Benji, this is letting Gaz get away, and that second place was a definite potential for him. Yes, you know.
You also think if you can pass Rob, hang on to Gaz, and they could catch the other Rob for the win.
Through Blanchimont. Absolutely pinned to the decks. Hit the brakes at the bus stop. Oh, and that is not what Robert wanted. There's Paul in the Ferrari. He's quietly gone about his business, stayed in 5th. Frank has finally got a bonnet, a rear wing, and some arches on his car. Down to a Rouge for the 3rd time. This is the 3rd of the race at this point. Rob has a 3.5 second gap. Oh, and Frank's quit. Frank is retired.
Yeah, it's a shame. He still could have got 2 points, but earlier just didn't want to.
I mean, even if he just sat in the pit lane and came out at the... does he actually have to complete... He has to complete the amount of laps, doesn't he? That's the problem.
Yeah, he has to do 75%, which would be we'd say complete 7 laps probably.
I wonder if he was thinking, even if he finishes, he's going to be 3 laps down. I mean,
I imagine he probably would have been moving by now, I would have hoped.
No, I've had my fair share of damage on this game, and some of it does take you 2-3 minutes to repair, minimum.
Looks like Gaz is closing in on Rob, and he's dropped Benji a tad on this lap. Maybe, sure, if Benji did catch Gaz, they'd maybe want to work together to try to get to Rob. So, everyone's free. One compare the lap times.
So you have Robert in 4th place at the moment, and we have had another, I think that's Doko has retired. Doko disconnected.
Whether he's actually disconnected or he's disconnected after he quit by turning his PlayStation off, but well, he was running along quite happily in 7th, unless he just crashed and rage quit.
Gaz, these boys have been consistent tonight. Gaz and Benji, 2nd and 3rd in the first race, looking like they're going to get another more podiums for themselves.
Gaz lost a lot of time in the last sector, but still half a second on Rob, and Benji gained 2 tenths on him.
It's interesting because Ben Milden now is pulled 0.6 on Paul, and Dean, who's 7 seconds behind Ben, is pulled nearly a second.
Yeah, you think Ben and Paul will probably have to scrap really hard to bring Dean back into play, but it could happen.
And a statement from Frank Finch in the paddock area. Doko rammed him so hard after he tried to avoid Ben. End of race. Bye-bye points.
Maybe that's where Doko's got in some damage from. Maybe got on then to crash or decided he just couldn't deal with it and quit.
It's quite nice having the live paddock area tonight.
Yeah, it's always nice getting information from the driver.
As we watch Gaz, the gap now 2 seconds to Rob. You'd have to think the next 2-3, we could have a 2-lap shootout between 3 drivers here for the win.
Yeah, and that would be amazing. It would be the hardest job for Gaz, as he would have to attack Rob and try and keep Benji behind at the same time, but it would be great for us to watch.
Through Blanchimont for the 4th time. Into the bus stop. What's impressive is that Benji has held on to Gaz at the moment, and we know even though he was closing down on him in the feature, Gaz did start pulling away from him again.
Yeah, in the overall spectrum it seems like they're evenly matched. Of course, Gaz is probably just too far away right now to be in Rob's section, but Benji loves Gaz's, which will be pulling him along with Gaz.
See the front end of the Audi over the crest at Radion. The front end looks like it just lifts slightly compared to every other car.
What was it? Probably would compared to the BMW. The BMW weighs about as much as the planet.
The engine in the R8, is that in the front or is that in the rear?
I think the Audi is mid-engine.
Yeah, so
The BMW is in the front.
I think that's one of the key things here, is that over the crest, having the engine in the mid means the front end will be a bit lighter over the crest. As we watch Paul on the back of Robert.
Yeah,
And
the
Ben,
Audi's engine placement is probably a big contributing factor as to why it has such a good overall balance.
oh, but it's not balanced through Lafania. That is challenge over for Benji. Just losing it through the right-hander. Couldn't quite keep hold of it. And the commentator's curse reigns upon Benji and his Audi. Yeah. I think if this was on like one of the F1 games, the engineer would be on there saying the stewards don't like your definition of the track limits.
Yeah, and I think the longer Robert holds up Paul, the longer that brings Ben in, and if they hold up Ben, that can bring Dean in. So this is a bit of a... missing the word I need, but they're all going to concertina up. You think unless Paul can do something.
Through the source for the 6th time. The gap up front, 1.6. Only 0.2 taken out that lap.
Gaz into the 19s that lap, where they've been consistently in the mid to high 80s. Want to be back in them as they've only got 4 more laps.
Down the Camel Straight they come. Line astern. Into Lecombe. That's it. One of the fondest memories of Spa I have is Schumacher Coulthard.
1998 was that?
I believe so. In the spray.
Straight Schumacher ramming Coulthard.
Luckily, we're not going to have any of that today. No, no rain.
I wonder how Rob is with his nerves. Of course, he's won a race before, but that was back in season 2. He did have cars right behind him. I think it was me and Adam all over him for the entire race.
But Gaz is absolutely ripping time out of him. He's down to a second. He has ripped a ton of time out of him.
Gaz probably going to be in the slipstream now.
The problem is, Robert doesn't have just anyone behind him. He has Gaz behind him. And everyone knows how hard it is to beat Gaz.
Yeah, I think the only thing we could probably be happy with is Gaz is more calm with his overtaking. He won't take major risks, whereas I think if it was like Adam or Ben or myself, we would throw it down the inside and hope for the best, whereas Gaz might be a bit more cautious and calculated with his attack.
On to lap 7, the gap now 0.8. The gap between Robert and Paul now 0.2. And Ben Milden really now starting to come into play. Two very interesting battles on the horizon. Through Radion they go. Down the Camel Straight, on board with Paul. First on board of the season, and it looks good. They come up to the outside of Lecombe. Can't quite get it done. He'll look for a switchback on the exit. Come through Malmedy they go. And Ben Milden now right on the back of this group. This really has played into the favour of the Mercedes driver.
What Ben will want with these two going at it, bring himself into it.
Ben having a look into Pouon, but deciding better of it. Gaz now 0.3, fluctuating between 0.3 and 0.4. As this little trio settle themselves down a little bit. Back to the leaders, then we go. On board with Gaz as we go through Stavelot and up towards Blanchimont. A bit wide from both of them, but all fair game right now. Into the bus stop. Rob goes wide, Rob's gone very wide. Gaz couldn't quite take advantage. Look at the speed of that BMW out of the chicane, that's phenomenal. Into the source they come for the penultimate time. Robert still holding on to fourth. Paul right behind him and Ben behind that. Back to the leaders as they come down to a Rouge. And through Radion. Down the Camel Straight. Get on the bumper cam of Gaz. Both these cars equal 166, 167 on board with Gaz. Here comes Paul, having a look on the outside of Robert again. No, this didn't work last. This didn't work last time, but it looks like he's gonna have a good go at it. Oh, and a little bit of contact. And Robert just about survives. Now we have to hope Paul doesn't get a bit of red mist because Ben Milder down the inside of Bruel. A fantastic move, but the leaders are very close as well now. Action happening in this sprint race as we wanted it. Through Lefania. Into Campus and towards Stavelot. Who's gonna have the biggest nerve? Rob has to hold off Gaz for another lap. Can he do it? Through Blanchimont they both go. Getting a bit wide from Rob, and that's going to cost him time. Gaz will have a look at the outside, maybe to do a almost like double switch back. Can't quite get the front end turned in as he'd like there. And across the line for the 8th time. Rob just has to hold on for another 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Easier said than done. No, Gaz looked like he got a little bit out of shape through a Rouge. This is what he can see if he's using the cockpit cam. Through Lecom. And Ben Milder now right on the back of Robert. Down to Lecom. He's going to try around the outside like Paul Scott did. And this time, oh, he's lost the rear end and Paul's going to go through. All over the curb. And that is a wasted chance for Ben. So we go back to the leaders. Into Pouant they go. Out of Pouant and down towards Lafagna. Into Campus for the final time, and Stavelot they go. Up towards.
The bus stop.
It's gonna have to brake late for it. Get a bit wide from Rob. Gaz closing. Oh, hello. He sends it. Tries around the outside. Can't quite do it. Can't get the switch back. Or does he? Up to the line is a slight drag race, but it's going to be Rob Noxious who takes the win from Gaz. A fantastic battle in the end. Benji comes home for another third place finish. He'll be happy with that after a spin. Robert's got a bit wide, and that is going to be Ben Milden stealing 5th place away from Paul. And Dean comes home in 7th.
Wow, a lot of drag to the line finishes, just like Sugo.
Exactly. Rob finishes as the winner. Gaz in 2nd, Benji 3rd, Robert is in 4th. Ben Milden steals the place from Paul Scott at the end for 5th. Paul Scott obviously 6th. Dean 7th. Frank Finch retired after not even completing a lap. And Doko also retired after what seems to be a collision. Liam, this is going to be a tough one. Driver of that race.
I'm going to have to say Rob. No one else really made massive progress. Of course, you could say Gaz, but I think Rob was he got pole, but I think he was even still then a rank outsider to win. So I'm going to say Rob, with Gaz a close second.
Yeah, I think I give Rob that race, driver of that race. And driver of the night for you.
I'm going to have to say Gaz for driver of the night. 2 consistent second places. It could have been Benji. Dean could have been there if he'd had a better result in the sprint, but consistency, I'm going to give it to Gaz.
See, for me, I'm actually going to go with Benji because that Audi seemed slower than most of the cars out there from the top runners. So for me, Benji to hold on to be that close as well throughout the whole race was a good effort for me. But
yeah.
next week we go to Australia for the dreaded Bathurst race. Liam, what are you expecting from next week at Bathurst?
If my experience of Bathurst is anything, crashes and slipstreaming.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're definitely going to see some damage flying around on these cars. But do join us next week for rounds 11 and 12 of the TNGTC, where hopefully Nathan will be back and Adam will be back again to continue their championship battle with Benji now right in the mix after tonight. But we do thank you from me and Liam. We thank you for watching tonight, and we will see you next week.